Animalia, phylum Chordata, class Mammalia, order Rodentia, family Suridae, genus Otospermophilus, species Beachiae. The adults have a mix of gray, light brown, and dusty fur to give the California ground squirrels' upper parts a mottled appearance. A band of slightly darker fur, flecked with light gray, extends from the head over the middle of the back. Gray fur forms a cape over the sides of the head and shoulders. This gray cape may have a protective function, breaking up the animal's body outline and making it more difficult for a predator to spot. The undersides are light buff or grayish yellow. The ground squirrel's body measures 9 to 11 inches in length, and its semi-bushy tail adds another 5 to 9 inches. Squirrels are omnivores, but primarily herbivores, and their diet changes with the season. After emerging from hibernation, they feed almost exclusively on green grasses and herbaceous plants. When annual plants begin to dry and produce seed, squirrels switch to seeds, grains, and nuts to begin to store food. Ground squirrels usually forage close to their burrows, and their home range typically stays within a 75-yard radius from their burrow. Ground squirrels breed once a year in early spring, averaging 7 to 8 young per litter. Above-ground activity by adults is most frequent at the height of the breeding season. The gestation period is approximately 30 days. The young are born in the burrow and grow rapidly. Within 55 days, they are weaned and emerge from the burrow after about 6 weeks. At 7 to 10 months, they are mature. While they can live up to 4 or 5 years, the average lifespan of a ground squirrel is 1 to 2 years. Ground squirrels live in a variety of natural habitats, but usually avoid thick chaparral, dense woods, and wet areas. Populations can be particularly high in grazed rangelands and in areas disturbed by humans such as roads or ditch banks, fence rows around buildings, and in or bordering many crops. The burrow openings are about 4 inches in diameter, but can vary considerably. The burrows can be 5 to 30 feet or more in length and can extend 2 to 4 feet below the soil surface. Often there is more than one opening in a burrow system. Squirrels live alone or in small colonies, comprised of one or more families. They can be slightly territorial, but when resources are abundant, populations are dense, and overlap is inevitable. Squirrels are diurnal, meaning they are active mainly during the daylight. When resources are scarce, they can hibernate, either during the dead of winter or the heat of summer, depending on the location. Only squirrels with sufficient fat stores are able to hibernate. Therefore, this is only an option for adults. The most basic sign of ground squirrel activity is their burrows. Active burrows will often be cleared of debris and free of weeds which may impede vision when looking out of the burrow. Inactive burrows may have debris in the hole such as leaves, grasses, and rocks. Squirrel activity can also be gauged by the identification of scat around burrows. Fresh scat means an active squirrel population is nearby. Squirrel tracks are identifiable by either 4 or 5 toes, fairly pointed, all facing the same direction. Other signs of activity is the damage done to surrounding plants and crops. The California ground squirrel is the leading vertebrate pest in California. They caused about $10 million of damage to California crops in 1998, while other studies have shown that they have caused between $30 and $50 million in damage to agriculture, infrastructure, and urban areas annually. Ground squirrels are the cause of a wide range of damage. Issues include plant destruction, irrigation damage, burrow hazards, and disease transmittance. The destruction of plants by squirrels extends to fruit and nut trees, grains, row crops, and ornamental and landscape plants. Squirrels gnaw on plastic sprinkler heads and irrigation lines. They are a nuisance to both urban landscapes and agricultural irrigation systems. Burrows can become a problem as they present issues for machinery, livestock, crops, and structures. The burrowing around trees can damage or dry out root systems and disrupt tree anchorage. Underneath buildings and structures, burrows can be destructive and costly. Burrows can also cause the erosion of ditches and compromise the integrity of levees during flood years. When squirrel populations are high, the risk of them vectoring disease is increased. A pressing concern is bubonic plague transmitted to humans by fleas that were once carried by squirrels. The California ground squirrel is classified as a non-game mammal. Therefore, it is permitted to take them in any legal manner. The 6 management techniques are shooting, trapping, burrow busting, baiting, fumigation, and biocontrol. Shooting is a viable option, although it can be inefficient, expensive, and impractical for large populations. The use of lead pellets varies by location due to the indirect poisoning concerns of California condors. On this chart, it is marked with moderate efficacy. Trapping is another option, also with moderate efficacy. Conibear traps are easy enough to set and work well, although they must be used under a watchful eye. Traps should not be used in areas with non-target animals like cats, dogs, livestock, or children. To set a conibear, hold the spring tightly and squeeze the frame together until it folds in half. Then center the trigger and set the lock on the tightest setting. The trap can be held by the spring and should be set flush against the burrow. The trap should then be staked and flagged to making it easy for others to spot. Burrow busting drives squirrels away by making burrows uninhabitable. A rodinator works by destroying burrows with a concussive blast and will kill squirrels if present. There are 3 main methods of anticoagulant baiting: bait boxes, spot baiting, and spot broadcasting. Bait boxes are put in a location where squirrels are sure to feed and are a great option for areas with non-targets, as dogs, cats, and poultry cannot access the bait. Spot baiting works best for more specific sites by placing bait in front of multiple burrow entrances. Dispersing bait over a larger area is considered spot broadcasting. With any anticoagulant bait, squirrels must feed on it between 2 and 4 times to be effective. Make sure to read all warning labels provided before use. Fumigation is done by lighting a fumigant cartridge and tossing it into the hole. Quickly cover the entrance with dirt so as to fill the burrow with carbon dioxide. While this will not destroy the burrow itself, it will suffocate any squirrels present. Biocontrol is possible by harboring natural predators like hawks, eagles, owls, coyotes, snakes, and dogs. These animals can control rodent populations to an extent, but may not eradicate them entirely. When introducing a predator to any new ecosystem, it is important to be wary of unintended ramifications.
Who you are and what your role is here?
Sure. My name is Johnny Rosecrans. I'm a technician, pest control advisor, and whatever else the department needs.
Great. As far as California ground squirrels go, what damage have you seen in the fields here?
Well, they cause quite a bit of damage in our fields if left unchecked. They burrow large holes in the ground. It's a hazard for walking. It's, could cause crop damage. Just overall, they're just a big nuisance.
Have you seen anything as far as irrigation goes, like plastic lines and sprinkler heads, things like that?
I've seen damage. Squirrels will chew on our irrigation line. I've seen jackrabbit damage. Tree squirrels do damage. Absolutely.
And what pest management practices do you use to control ground squirrels?
Well, we attack them in 3 or 4 different ways. You guys use the rodinator.
Yeah.
So we'll try to attack them using the rodinator. We bait. I found it to be most successful baiting. Kind of a scatter bait works better than the bait stations. We'll go after them with the giant destroyers. We'll try to trap them, but it's hard to trap them with so much food source around here. So we'll try to go after them in all those different angles.
And then out of those that you've mentioned, which in your opinion is the most effective?
The last couple years, the most effective has been the PCQ scatter bait.
Okay.
We'll go around to the hole, the active holes, and then scatter it per whatever the label says. And that seems to be most effective from what I've seen the last couple years. We had good success with bait stations early on, and they're just not taking anymore for whatever reason. But right now, PCQ scatterbait.
Awesome. And how do you typically monitor for ground squirrels here, if you are looking for them?
It's more just a visual. You're walking by, a certain block or whatever, and you see some activity, and we try to jump on it fast just to not let them go unchecked. Because if you do, then they'll continue to multiply and cause more damage. So it's more just a visual. If you see activity, you go after it.
And then last question here, what economic damage, if you know any, have been because of the ground squirrels here? Like cost-wise or any figures that you think?
It's hard to put a number on besides the time that you spend either paying an employee or working yourself for squirrel control. So it'd be the time that it takes for the control methods, but it might be hard to put a number on what other type of monetary damage they'd be.